Are you ready to create a life you crave? Let's spin that doom loop of negativity into an upward success cycle and start living lucky.
Good morning.
My name's Jana.
I'm Jason.
And we are living lucky.
You are too.
Oh,
I almost forgot my name when you said my name's Jana.
Oh, Jason. Are we back to those COVID
No,
days?
I'm so used to it going, I'm Jana. So
No,
it's about routine.
I caught myself this morning saying, what am I doing? What am I even doing?
Yeah, and I think it's just about patterns and about routine.
I was on autopilot and I literally was grabbing for something and then I thought, what am I doing? I'm not even in the right room.
Sometimes we do the things that we're used to doing, and that I think plays really well into what we're going to talk about this morning, because on Friday, last week, we did something that I haven't seen you do in the 20 years that we've been together.
Ever.
Yeah.
Okay, so how should we even preface this? Jason and I are doing this TV show. And the first episode of this TV show, we literally set the intention to the universe, to God, to say, hey, take us to the people that we need to connect with and help us deliver the message that you want us to share with everyone that is watching this.
Yeah, take us to the people that we need to meet, teach us the things we need to learn, give us the opportunities that are meant for us, and have us open to the experience. And we have literally just in the whole Living Lucky program, the right people have fallen in place, the right opportunities in the right timing.
Yes, at the right place.
Yes, it's been incredible.
So anyway, we're on episode 3 and we end up at this Scuba Gym. Now you're thinking, Scuba Gym, that is so weird.
That's GYM.
Yes, it's an underwater workout rehab facility. So you put on scuba gear and you go underwater, you go 12 feet underwater, and then the therapists work with you depending on what you're trying to improve.
Yeah, and it's like nerve manipulation, it's body movement.
I mean, there's people underwater that are playing ball, they're playing catch, they're working on sensory deprivation, there's people who are working on physical rehab, and I just found this whole gym fascinating because it stemmed from this guy and his son at the age of 11 developed a brain tumor and ended up with paralysis from about the neck down. And he just started thinking outside the box and trying to find a way to help his son. His intention was love. I need to help my son. And a lot of the
medical experts said that hyperbaric treatment was going to be one of the best forms of therapy for him, but it was going to be thousands of these treatments.
And it was so expensive. They couldn't afford that.
And he was a master diver already, so he just thought, well, what if
we just take him
learn
underwater?
About therapy and nerve stimulation, and I take him underwater with scuba gear.
Now this guy, Dave, I'll call him Dave, because that's his name. He's actually a computer programmer by trade. So you can see how it's almost like his life path was leading him to this. He was a computer programmer and a scuba diver. So those were his two expertise, and he put them together and he takes his son underwater and he starts tapping and touching and realizing, okay, what nerves are still firing? Where are they firing? And how can we rewire his brain so that he can learn how to maneuver these?
It's like recoding.
It is. It's recoding the body. And being underwater, that takes away all of the gravity. So you're literally not fighting. I know gravity for most people is like, well, gravity doesn't really, that's not much weight. But when you are learning to walk or learning to remove or maneuver your body in different ways, gravity
plays a big role.
It's huge. Yes. That's like lifting a 50-pound weight.
It's a weighty subject.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you for helping me out. And over time, his son began to get all sorts of feeling and movement back. And now his son walks with a slight limp, but you would never know it unless you knew his backstory.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a miracle in progress. And after that, then he opened this gym to anyone who wants to
he became a licensed therapist.
Heal their bodies.
And took it to Australia, took it to several different cities and a couple places around the globe. And we found out about it by our third episode, and you did it for the first time last week.
I got in the water. I'm like, I want to try this. And Jason, from your perspective, what did you see? Because if I say it, I don't think people would believe it.
I saw your body move in a way that I've never seen. First of all, I've never seen it move. I mean, I saw you in video from before you were 15, like before your accident.
Right.
But I never in my mind, I haven't put the abilities that I saw. Like I saw you jumping underwater.
I was jumping.
I saw your legs actually doing the steps.
I know.
Of walking underwater.
Know. It was. And I was crying.
I'm crying. You're crying. Dave is like just this. Okay. The nerves are working the way they're supposed to work. We just need to get the brain to say, oh, this is where the communication needs to go. And I was like, and he's seen the process work before. So he's just recoding down there.
He is.
And it's really weird to me, but it's being open to it because for so long we've been told there's no way to do this. This doesn't there's no path here. And
it's a limiting belief. I was told that the one part of your body that cannot regenerate is your spinal cord. And I feel like somewhere deep in my subconscious mind, I did therapy after my accident for, maybe 2 years. And it got to the point where I wasn't seeing any improvement and it was time consuming. And it was almost disappointing. Every time I would go, it was disappointing. Every time anyone would ask me about it, how's your therapy coming? It felt like I was letting not only myself down, but I was letting the world down.
Yeah, it feels like, and I can imagine this because when you're working so hard on something and you're investing, it's an investment.
It was.
Because you're putting time, energy, resources into it, and you're not seeing any progress. It's just the doing. And this is what it feels like to be on the hamster wheel, right?
And it got to the point where it started to really take a toll on me emotionally and spiritually. And so then at that point, I made the decision that, you know what, it's better for me to accept my circumstances, accept my situation, and spend that time that I was spending on rehab, spend that time to lift weights in the gym and to get stronger with my upper body, because my upper body is now going to need to compensate for my daily living.
Yeah. And you could see results there.
And I could see results. And not only results, I started playing wheelchair sports and I started accelerating in this life. So I was getting attention, whereas going to rehab for an hour a day, it felt like I was draining my energy, whereas going to the gym, learning how to...
You were creating energy and momentum.
I was creating. So there was a difference there. And so it's like two roads diverge. I took the road of possibility at that time.
Yeah. And that's the beauty of it. And now, because there's no limiting belief for Dave, and he said, you know what, there might be other possibilities. And he said, why don't we try this in a different way? And he opened that whole world up, because sometimes when we explore, and there's so many different people that explore, but instead of subscribing to it's impossible.
Yes.
And allowing people having these people on the frontier that say, I'm willing to explore.
Along those same lines, this scuba gym is literally in our backyard. Again, it's in our backyard.
And has been for 15 years.
We both said, how come we do not know about this? And he says to me, you find it when you're ready to receive the message. And I feel like that was a huge pivot point for me, because in life, sometimes we're asking, why haven't I found this? Why isn't this working? Well, I was asking the wrong questions. And it wasn't until I went to Joe Dispenza and I started seeing people becoming supernatural. That's literally the name of his book. And I started seeing people healing their bodies, including Joe Dispenza, who healed his body with his mind. I was asking the wrong questions. And so since November, I've started asking, what if there are new possibilities? Yeah. What if I've had almost a scotoma to this, where it's been blind to me? That's what a scotoma is. Yeah. It's been blind to me because I wasn't open to receiving it.
Yeah. What are the possibilities?
We create a reality that fits our expectations. And I had...
Ooh, say that again.
Well, we do, we create a reality that fits our beliefs and our expectations. And I had come to the belief that this wasn't a possibility to me. So why would I explore it?
Why bother? Why look for it if it can't be found?
And the other thing that happened, which makes this so part of living lucky, is that we went to a manifestation conference with Mind Valley about 2 months ago, maybe 3 months ago. And literally they opened up with this story that actually made me angry, because I was on the front row, and they opened up with this story about a paraplegic. And the paraplegic, the woman that was telling the story said, I went over to him and I said, I'm getting a divine download that you can stand up and walk right now. Do you remember this story? And I'm like, why would you tell this story at the beginning of a conference? But she was telling it to provide hope and motivation, inspiration to the audience. However, I was on the front center. And she went over to this paraplegic and she said, I am getting a divine download that you can stand up and walk right now. And he was like, oh, you're crazy. You're crazy. And then she's like, no, I'm going to help you. And she goes down to lift him up, and he started walking.
And she got help from people to lift him up. And see, from my perspective, because we've been together for 20 years.
Yes.
And I know that if you haven't taken the necessary steps throughout your day as a paraplegic,
yes,
and there's timing involved in when it's good to get out of your chair, when it's not, when it can be embarrassing, when like those types of things.
Yes.
Like, don't invade someone's personal space like that.
Exactly.
Because timing is everything when you don't have control of your inner organs, when you don't have control of your body.
That's so true.
And if you're there to learn, however, part of that message was your body might just want to remember what it's like to stand up and walk.
Here's what happened in that whole story, though. After she told that story, so he got up and he walked because we believed in him. That was her whole message. We believed in him. And it wasn't until he saw that we believed in him that he believed in himself. And anyway, after she tells that story, I had probably 5 or 6 people. Now, I know that's not a lot in a room full of 300, but for me, in that moment, that felt like a lot. I had so many people.
It's a lot. It's a lot for a moment.
5 or 6 in the next, we were there 2 days or 3 days, one of the two. So 5 or 6 people in the next 2 days would come up to me at different times and say, you're going to be the one that gets up and walks. I feel that same story for you. I know that's going to happen for you. And that started to piss me off, which is my own, that's living in my head and getting in my own way.
And so the funny part for me is that I know that you had these thoughts prior to, and then, but I also know that it was something about that story and something about that conflict and contradiction in how it happened, and that everything happens in the right time and can't be forced.
So it's so bizarre because we aren't ready to hear the message until we're ready.
Yeah.
And then I came home from that and I did a lot of writing, and I thought, you know what? Maybe I am getting in my own way. Maybe my head is getting in my own way because, and here's how I knew that, is because I started feeling all of these emotions when she told that story, and it made me so angry and so resentful. So I literally went to write to unpack, why am I feeling resentment? Why am I feeling these emotions right now? I call them my porcupines on my back. They came out in full force.
Protection. Yeah.
Yes. And I'm like, why am I feeling that? Because she was just telling a story from her perspective. But I got so angry to the point where this woman came over to get a test. This woman came over to Jason and said, Jason, you have such wonderful energy. And she totally did not even look at me. And I'm like, that bitch. Like,
Does she not see me?
I have
I've got
great energy too.
Not at that time. You were angry.
And
girl.
that's why. That is why. And it's not until we can take accountability. So anyway, once I heard that story, then I started coming home and I started in my meditations. I started thinking, well, I'm going to start just imagining myself climbing mountains, doing cartwheels on the beach, walking through the grass,
running a marathon.
All of these things that actually, yeah, I kept going back to 8th grade and running the 400 and how that would make every muscle in my body feel. And then we are invited to my niece's track meet where she's running the 400. And I could see how that made her feel. And so then I started thinking about it more. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, I'm just going to. And then she started showing me some of their alternative training methods in their gym where they have like this big bubble.
The anti-gravity treadmill.
And where so if you're trying to rehab a knee or an ankle, you can stand in this anti-gravity bubble while you're on the treadmill. And I started thinking, I wonder if I could do that. So it's weird how
the dots connect.
The dots have started to connect, and the right people, the right timing, the right places. And it just feels like my soul wants to go on this journey. And I've already told Jason, I'm letting go of expectations. I'm letting go of expectations, and I just want to be curious about how this can be possible and creating.
Well, I think it's beautiful when we can bring down that wall between what's possible and impossible. And even when we can just peek over it and peek and imagine the other side into that, what was once impossible, because that's where evolution is, and that's where innovation is. And that's where we start really creating the newness and the beauty and in all these wonderful things that we're moving into. That's where we've come from.
Yes.
We didn't have any of this before, and we have it now. And all this was impossible at one time. The technology we're using today was impossible at one time. It was not even thought of. It was in someone's imagination, and then they just kind of explored into it.
With curiosity. And they brought down that world of
impossibility and didn't listen to the people that were saying you can't. Mm-hmm. And they started thinking, well, what if?
What
if I could?
What if?
What if it is possible?
What if?
What if I'm this close to figuring it out and understanding it? Or what if I can just play around and it happens?
I think those are two very powerful words. And that's what I'm getting from our conversation right now is, up until now, I was thinking that so what are the two most powerful words.
Well, if something goes wrong, so what?
Not most powerful, but so what has kind of been my mantra.
Phrase,
like, so what? So what? Like, who cares what anybody thinks?
Because crap
so
happens.
What?
Crap happens and people are going to say things. So what?
My journey has literally gone from now what to I am to so what and now what if?
I think it's beautiful.
It's a beautiful journey, right?
It is.
What if? What if? What if?
Tell me more.
Oh my gosh. Oh, well, I hope we're running out of time. I feel like I could talk about this forever because, again, my body was doing things that it hasn't done in 34 years. It was overwhelming. It was exciting. It's waking up some sort of exuberance in me.
And I think one of the powerful things about what I saw and seeing these new possibilities creates this whole new world of possibilities and creates this whole new energy.
Yes.
And it's exciting. And I just want to break out into the Love Boat tune, but I'm not.
The Love Boat.
Exciting and new. But I really want to, it's something, the video is going to speak for itself because it is powerful. When you realize what's possible, you really want to dive into the deep end and explore it.
Yes.
When you're stuck in the impossible, it's defeating, deflating, and it's a rut that you just keep digging deeper in. It's the moat around life that creates that hamster wheel of sameness.
Oh gosh.
And what's on the other side of that, in that field of possibilities, is where living lucky lies. It's the field of living lucky where you're just in that alignment.
You're letting your soul guide.
Yes, because your soul wants to grow.
You're going by your soul and your heart instead of living in your head.
Yeah, it's complete alignment, and you will meet the right people in the right place for the right opportunities in the right timing. And
I know now there is a reason I'm on this planet. There is a reason. I've been asking myself that question for a while too. Oh my gosh, this is getting kind of deep and kind of long. So we're going to wrap it up. We may continue talking about this. I don't know. We're going back. I'm going to the Scuba Gym twice a week, and I am going to start pursuing this avenue.
We'll see where it goes, but regardless, we will keep living lucky, and you will too.
Thanks for joining us. Bye-bye. If the idea of living lucky appeals to you, visit us at startlivinglucky.com.